Right, good evening. It's Friday evening here. Just trying to get a video up really. We haven't had a video up for a while. Me and Chris have actually been away on our annual road trip, as we have been before. Hence there haven't really been any videos going on. So hopefully we're going to get a few more kicked out in the next couple of weeks. So you'll notice the 306 is outside at the moment. She's been kicked out again. We've got a little project here to do in the meantime. First things first. So it's a 2000 plate 36 HDI. I'm going to be changing the engine in it. It's one of those kind of run-of-the-mill jobs that normally we don't really get the camera out for, but I thought you'd take along for the ride this time. So yeah, it's going to be basically run it up as it is. It's got basically trouble with the cylinder head and one of the injectors. The bottom of the seat is knackered basically from injectors leaking over time, and it's irreparable, to be honest with you. So the engine's coming out. There are other issues with it as well. I've got another sort of long block here from a known good car locally. So we'll be going right through that, cleaning it all up, sticking a slightly bigger fuel pump on it, sorting out all the front mount kind of issues and exhaust issues, and there's just lots of issues really that need tidying up. And then obviously I'll be getting sat back on the dyno again, tuned up to hopefully get it up to the sort of power level it should be at. I haven't ran it up yet. That's going to be the next job, but I'm predicting it's not going to make very much power. I've just fired it up and can hear boost leaking from God knows where, and I just don't think it's going to make very much power. This is supposedly supposed to be stage 2, or stage 2 as they say on the forums, so effectively a front mount standard HDI with a map on it, because anyone who doesn't work on these regularly will know that the HDI engine, which is the 2 litre common rail, doesn't have an intercooler on it from the factory. So the first thing that people do when they go past what they call stage 1, which is effectively just a map, is stick an intercooler on them and turn the boost up, which this has had done, but I just don't think it's making the power it ever was meant to. I have also got a paddle clutch here on order, so we can hopefully try to get the most out of it, because otherwise they will just destroy standard clutches. So first things first, I'm going to drop it on the dyno, but anyone who will notice, it's extremely low, and we're going to have to raise the coilovers up, because I'm pretty sure the subframe is going to come down on top of the roller otherwise. Right, so just raising the coilovers up. This thing is slammed to the max, and the subframe bolts are resting on the rollers. So I'm going to raise it up a bit to give us some clearance.
Looking better. She stays still. I bet it'll be fucking awful when you spin it up if her wheels are as bad as she says it.
Okay, you can see I've pulled the front end of the car off now. This is just my personal preference or way of doing this. It's not necessarily the only way you can do this. You can pull the engine out the top, etc. But I generally find the easiest way of doing it is to just rip the front end off. And also in this case we've got quite a lot of cleanup to do around the chassis and other bits and pieces, so it's just the easier way to do it. So I've taken all the front end off, and I've rolled the car forwards now. Once I've taken the drive shafts and everything out over the pit, I'll do all the easy bits while it's over the pit, and then just literally hoink it forwards, pull the gearbox mount and the top engine mount off, and we'll lift the engine right out with the crane. Then we're going to have to start cleaning everything up. Right, so I've just cleaned the engine bay up. I've gone over some areas where it was a bit rusty, and gone over it with a coat of paint just to try and freshen things up a bit in the engine bay. It's hard to see because the sun's shining in here, but it's cleaned it up substantially from what it was before, and we'll make putting it back together a more pleasant experience. So then the engine, what we're going to be rebuilding is this block here. It's pulled out of an accident, damaged 306. I think it had about 90,000 on it, so it's a fairly average block. It's well, stripped bare really, basically, apart from the block in the head. That's actually going to be staying as it is. So basically going to reassemble this now with all the bits and pieces of the other engine, obviously cleaning things up and replacing anything that's knackered, and obviously all the obligatory bits and pieces that get replaced when you put an engine back together, the cam belt, tensioners, water pump and all that sort of thing. But she's decided to leave the head and everything as it is, so that's what we're doing. Right, I can't remember where we got to with this, but I'm just going to get another video going again. We've actually managed to get a pedal clutch into this one, so that's quite cool. We want to try and open it up if we can, and the clutches in the HDIs don't take a lot of abuse down low at all. Their torque rating, even over an XUD, is fairly low. So we've got just a pretty standard clutch from CG, the cheap and cheerful jobs, which should be more than adequate for this one. It's actually a five pedal with a sprung centre. This car is pretty much going to be daily driven, and I don't think there's really any future tuning sort of ahead of it, so there's no real need to stick to anything too heavy and harsh in it, given its use. So we've gone for the 5 pedal, which is sort of against what we'd normally use. So we're going to drop the transmission back on it now, which I've just taken outside the pressure wash, stick a new release bearing in it and grease up all the clutch forks, etc., and we'll bolt that one up then. Right, take 2. I forgot to turn the mic on the first time. So we'll skip forward a bit here now. Forgot to make the videos in between really, we've just been busy. So the new engine's now in. We had a few issues along the way. The pump we were supplied, the high pressure pump, was bad. So I've had to swap that out, strip it all down again, swap that out. All the front mount setup we've pretty much had to redo. The hoses were all just the wrong length, none of the pipes were beaded, all the clamps were stripped. It was just, you know, a typical bodge, and it just was not going to work. So we've redone all that now, new clamps pretty much everywhere, beaded all the pipes, replaced the silly C5 pipe underneath that plastic thing that was grounding out with steel and rubber, proper hoses, so that they won't be A, grounding out everywhere, and B, I just hate those plastic C5 pipes, they're complete and utter bodge. So that's all back together now, so we've dropped it on the Dyno now, it's all strapped down. We're going to warm it up now, get some bass lines in, set the boost controller where it needs to be at, and then go from there really. So we'll get things running and warmed up.